Hey everybody, happy Monday. All right, I know last week was kind of crazy with testing and everything, so this week we should be back into our routine, and then we kind of get started into the rest of testing week. Remember, this is week 4, and so we only have 6 more weeks, if that. I would say maybe 4 more weeks and a half or so of solid grades being taken, and then after that, it's just kind of catching up in the last few weeks of school and then preparing for semester exams. So we're about halfway there. We need to make sure that we're staying on top of everything. You had plenty of time last week to catch up. So we're going to start moving forward. On Friday, I posted a reading survey, and it was the only thing that was required and a way for you to earn your attendance. So if you didn't complete that on Friday, you were marked absent unless you were physically present in school. So if you haven't done that, it is a requirement. I did reach out to Miss Lippenholtz, who is our librarian, and I asked her to pull some of these titles. I know a couple of you said, you weren't quite interested in some of the titles that were given, and so you wanted to browse your own stuff. That's totally fine. You're more than welcome to do that. I just want to make sure that you know that you can check out books from our library physically, even if you're off campus. We're doing curbside checkouts, and so Miss Lippenholtz will give me a little bit more information about that. You should also have a library course page in Schoology where you can look at some of those resources. And then, like I mentioned, you also have the San Antonio Public Library, which also has online resources, as well as the Sora app. Okay, so please make sure you complete that survey as soon as possible. And if you don't, then you're just going to be dealing with the chapters that I give you from certain books or what have you. And so I won't be giving you short stories. I will be giving you probably full chapters of things, just to kind of get you reading different types of genres. So if you prefer to read something on your own, please do. I started reading last week during testing, just by chance, a book that I had called I'm Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter. It is a National Book Award finalist by Erica L. Sanchez. America Ferrera bought the screenplay rights to this, and I believe she's going to be starring and producing a movie version of this. So, of course, I wanted to read the book first. I started it, and I'm already about 125 pages in. We'll see if I finish it. This book definitely has some more mature things in it because the girl is about 16. She lives in kind of a rougher neighborhood. So there are some triggering things. The first chapter starts off at a funeral of her sister who was hit um, by a semi, and it's pretty sad. And so, I mean, there's some triggering things in here. So I wouldn't get it if you've got a lot going on mentally, or if that's a little too close to home for you. But I'm loving it so far. I'm hooked. It's just beautifully raw and real. And she doesn't write like, she describes, I think feelings that we all have, and she does it so well. Okay, so that's my book, and that's the one that I'll be talking through when we have book choice days. So, you can either read that if you're interested in that title, or any of the other pieces. I have several books in my classroom that I can book talk with you. And like I said, Miss Lippenholtz has so many new books that she's ordered. And they're available for curbside checkout if you are an at-home learner. All right. I wanted to show you these setting notes as well. We're going to just go through this first page together. The second page will be something we complete together when we get to our free choice days. So I want to talk a little bit about setting, and we all understand that it's time and place, but there are so many other elements and things to consider. Why did the writer choose these specific places and these elements, and how do they matter? Especially if they're things like dystopian or fantasy or historical fiction, the time and place has a big deal, and how the characters are influenced. And so in each of these sections, you've got some things to think about when it talks about the past or the present or the future. Sometimes it's symbolic. So all three of these linked examples are videos based off of the Hunger Games. So if you want a little bit more information and understand how you can analyze time over then, okay, it takes place in the present, or it takes place, in the 1950s. Well, what does that mean? How does that affect the way that the characters interact with each other and our understanding as readers? So there's a video there for you that will explain that. The same thing for locations. They could be broad or they can be specific. Again, sometimes they can be symbolic. Locations have a lot of special memories and values. Think about where you've been raised. Think about if you're somebody who moves around a lot. You've been cultured in a different way versus somebody who's never moved. So things like that, right? Who you're living with, if you're living with grandparents or you're living with parents, or when you go stay somewhere else, like, those things have an effect on like our mood and how we behave and what we believe. And then again, a lot of the times when we think time and place, we overlook cultural beliefs. And so I'm from originally a border town called Las Cruces, which is right outside New Mexico. But then when I come to southern Texas, there are some things that overlap and there are things that are different. Like Mexican food is completely different here. Everybody does tacos. Where I'm from, we do burritos. It's one fold and it doesn't make a mess. Or our enchiladas are flat. They're not rolled. There's little things that are different, whether it's like the food or the values or the beliefs. I never saw a lot of two-story houses until I moved to Texas. I didn't know that that was a thing. I thought, that was only for certain areas, but like, no, it's not. Like anybody can have a two-story house. I just didn't see a lot of them. I wasn't exposed to a lot of them. In my high school, everybody got along. There wasn't really like cliques or, there wasn't really like teenage drama. Everybody was cool with everybody, but it was a small town. And so we're all about, no drama, having a good time. There's not a lot of competition. But here in Texas is all about competition, right? So even state to state, there's some major differences. So again, there's another example here from the Hunger Games. So ultimately, as you're reading anything, right, you need to understand that, whatever character that you're reading about always will go through some sort of element or some sort of conflict. And the setting has a lot to do with how that plot moves forward. And so ultimately, all those things can also reveal certain themes in a text. So how writers create settings, are all of these different ways, but it's our job to unlock why they matter, and how the stories would be different if they were in different spaces. Okay, so don't worry about the second page yet. I just want you to look at this. Obviously, it's just a link. You can't edit this document, but just know you'll be asked to be doing some of this on your own choice readings soon. So if you can grab whatever you're going to read by Friday. If it doesn't come in yet, that's fine. You can still complete assignments based off of the text that I give you, or you can read a chapter online. I know that if you're ordering something online, a lot of the times they'll preview the first few chapters. You can always check them out on Sora until you get your physical copy. So now that there's ways to get your book, simply waiting on a physical copy is not an excuse because they're usually always offered online, especially now with the pandemic. So let's make sure that we have something hopefully by Friday. So your discussion board assignment today, we're going to practice with the video clip. I'm in a Marvel mood, so we're going to talk about Black Panther today. Tomorrow we're going to talk about Age of Ultron. So I want you to watch this video clip. And this is where N'Jadaka, or I think they call him Killmonger, he comes to challenge T'Challa for the throne, right? He's Wakandan, and he's avenging his father kind of thing. And so you want to watch through that, read through some of that information, especially if you've never seen the movie before. And then you're going to answer all 4 questions, preferably in complete sentences because it's English class and it's not that much. I'm not giving you, pages and pages and pages of homework. I've given you quite a bit already within that description. And then again, going through a lot of the notes on the setting will help you. So what time of day, what time of year in history, obviously it follows a really important event. It's still within the realm of challenge day, right? Any member of royal blood can pretty much challenge any time. So that's important, right? It's taking place on Wakandan territory when they don't let people in. So that's important to think about. What do you notice about the location and the space? What meeting are they in? Thinking about, how far he had to travel and all the ways in which he had to get there. What do you notice about the people? Who's around the table, right? Where is T'Challa sitting? And what do they value? Do they value blood? Do they value legacy? Do they value their privacy? Do they value their way of life? And what is their way of life? Looking at that. And then what thematic ideas are based? The fact that they care more about, concealing certain things than helping their people, right? He says, but didn't life originate on this continent? So are all your people, right? He says stuff like that. So I would look through and pay attention to those things, and then just answer, in complete sentences. If you've watched the movie, you can give me a little bit more context. If not, keep it within this short clip, okay? I believe, let me start it. Yeah, it's only about 3 minutes long, so it shouldn't be anything that takes you too long, okay? And then again, read this information, and then again, your setting notes. All right, to those of you that decide to come to class this week, you will be reading in class, so you need to make sure you have your book. And then I will periodically check in with you and ask you what you're reading, just because, I might finish my book pretty early. I don't know, we'll see. I'm going to be pretty impressed if I do finish the book, I will say. All right. If you have questions, email me, let me know. Make sure you complete that reading survey ASAP, especially so if you choose certain titles, we can get them to you as quickly as possible. All right, everybody, have a great Monday. We'll see you soon. Bye.